Welcome to Cheapskate. I'm Cameron and we are going to try and solve the double doggy door dilemma. What is that? Well, I've got a doggy door in my flywire door here, which has been good, but there's a door behind it obviously, and in winter we have to leave that door open so the dog can get in and out. That lets a lot of heat and energy escape the house, using up more energy, making the house colder in winter. So can I just put another one of these in? Having two of these with a space between, is that sort of ideal, or is it another way of doing it? I took a different approach and this is how I did it. So the end result is what you see here, although these doors are in the way, my doggy. Basically I've got a sliding door and I have a shroud around here to stop the cold air getting in and through the door. So we have that door shut. Dog can go in and out. I also have a piece of timber here so the dog's paws don't go down between the two doors, so that actually butts up against the fly wire. So it's this top part, and we pull this plug out and the door sits down there, and this plug that goes in there stops the door from going up and stops people from reaching in through the doggy door and trying to pull the plug out. You can't get to it because that touches the fly wire, as I guess you can work out. So that's what I've done. Check this out. What do you reckon? Does that look good? So this is typical of most doors. A couple of bits of masonite and a honeycomb of cardboard inside. So for most, you got sawdust all over. For most interior doors, this is what you get. Dog just checking it out there. So there's not much room inside here for filming, so apologies if this is not ideal, but I've got the door shut and this is the existing doggy door in the flywire. I'm just going to try to catch it. So I haven't quite got the door, I was a bit conservative. It just makes it on this side it's hitting. I probably need to cut off a good 10 more millimeters here, although it looks like I've got an angle, so it looks probably okay, about okay at the top. So I need to cut off, keep it about where it is at the top here, but then cut in a little bit more down here. The top doesn't look too bad, although I need to straighten these lines up, so I will do a cut just there. And this one here, the bottom looks fine, I need to cut a bit more off the top. So I've gone a bit angled. More off the bottom on this side, more off the top of that side. This is the piece of timber I'm going to be using to line the bottom and to make a bridge between the two doors. It's 19mm thick, it's just pine. I will have to paint this as well because it'll be a little bit exposed to the weather, but I'm just checking if I put it here, it's almost the right height. It's just a little bit high, the lip is just sticking over the base of the doggy door. So I need to go down just about another 5 or so millimeters. That looks better. Get the size, put the board there. Round about, just get the lip in there so we don't angle it too much. And if I cut it about here and about there, now I'll bring it back in when I've sawn it. Get off the wood. I think that's good. Yeah. Alright, so we'll go about fixing that now. I've cut some strips to go along the bottom there, on the inside and the outside, and that will just help support our little bridge, and it's come out past the sides a little bit so we can attach strips going up the sides here too, just to make it look sort of nice and neat. So I need to pre-drill some holes through here, and then we'll be drilling into that. This will only go through the masonite. It's nothing to do with strength. It's not going to be bearing any load or anything like that. It's just to really, it's just to attach this to so it stays in place. I'm using countersunk screws, so I'm going to use a countersunk piece on my drill here. So countersunk is this bit on the top. If you use flatheads you won't have to worry about it, but it's up to you. It was too difficult to do this and show it to you at the same time. You can see I've pre-drilled a hole there. So what I basically did was got this in place, put the spirit level on it, put it about where I wanted it, and then checked in here to see that I had a level with the lowest part of my hole, because my hole's not exactly square, and then it was level with my spirit level, and then I pre-drilled the hole. See if we can get it to come through a little bit. Okay, so it's just coming through, and I can place it, make sure it looks right. Tighten these because it's only going into very thin masonite at the back there. I might just put that one in now because it doesn't look like it's going in too well. Does that look right? So it seems to be where it wants to go in. Okay, so then we've got our first one. We're just going to do exactly the same thing with this other piece on the other side. Now that I've got both of those on, and I can see that it's sticking up a little bit here and a bit here at the ends, the middle is pretty much level, so I'm going to sand those down and get it closer to the level of this. So we just go back to our sanding paper. Sandpaper's taking too long, so I'm using a chisel. If you've never used chisels before, just don't put any part of your hand or body in front of the blade. So never have your hand like this or anywhere in front of the blade, or any part of your body. Never push it towards yourself, because when you'll be pushing hard and they'll just let go, and if they go into you, it won't be fun. They're very sharp. The other principle with chisels is to take small shavings, not try and do the whole lot at once. Just shave it down a little bit at a time. As you can see, this is actually a perfect fit along this edge now. So that would be not a bad place. It is just touching the door. I'm just wondering if that might rattle if it's windy. I'd rather have it just not touching. So I am going to just overlap this edge just a tiny bit. That doesn't really matter. And that's where I'm going to put some more holes for screws, making sure I don't put them on top of it. I don't want to go into the existing screws. I'm probably only going to need a couple of screws. I know these boards are about 19mm thick, so the board underneath is, so I know that'll be around about right. And another one here. I'm only going to put two because I've got two on this side and two on the other side as well. So that should secure it fairly well. If I put this one, actually if I put them in line with the other screws, we'll be fine. 9mm about there, this should be about right here. There we go. So we've got our little bridge. I was just going to put strips of timber in here and then probably attach them to the frame around the outside. But I was at the hardware store getting some screws and I ended up buying a piece of this. It's like a owl shape. If I show you end on. L-shaped piece of timber. And so I'm thinking about putting that in there like that. But it's fairly thick, so it's going to take a bit more room than I was originally thinking of. So I think what I'll do is I'll cut this out to that thickness, so this will fit in through there and go down to there. So I'm just going to widen this out a little bit. I ended up using the jigsaw to widen out the holes a little bit. The only thing is I couldn't get into this bit with the jigsaw and this bit here. I started going at it with a hacksaw, but it's taking forever. So I've decided to just use my trusty old chisel again. See if we can just sort of hammer it down there a little bit. Alright, so I just cut this piece off on the bandsaw. I just want to check the fit. So this is the side I'm just measuring it up for. And that seems to fit very well. Does the door fit through? Yep, okay. So that looks good. Now just check it now on the other side. See if I can just use another one the same size on this side. So push that in there. And this one's a little short here. I've got a gap, 5 or 6 mil gap at the top. So I'll just see if that door fits through there. It does. So I'm just going to go and cut another piece now that's about 5 mil longer than this. So I've just made that other one for the other side a little bit longer, as you can see there. So let's see if we've left it too long or whether it's right. It's a little bit too long. Alright, just resawing that one, see if it fits now, and that's better. So we've got our 2 bits of timber there, and we need to basically drill holes through here, screw them in, and then we'll do another one on the top here, just to make it all nice and neat. So I might just measure this one up now, to here. That's the size we want, so I'll cut that bit off. Fingers crossed I've cut that in the right spot now. Okay, that's not too bad. There's little gaps here, that's a bit of an angle. I'm not trying to make this look super beautiful or anything. I just want it to work. It's not square, but it's not noticeable to the eye that it's not square. It looks square. We know that this side is actually a little bit higher, so this is probably sloping that way. If I put a spirit level on it, which I will do actually. Yeah. Okay, so that's square there. Hang on. This is thin plywood. It's about, I think it's 7mm thick. Now I'm going to use this for a door. It's just going to be a sliding door. It's going to slide up and down. So I will cut a piece of that in a minute, but I've also cut a couple of strips of it off, not that wide, and I've cut some strips of that 19mm timber here. And so the idea is that I put one piece on here like this, on the back of that, like that, so there's that, and then this gets gets attached like that, and we screw that onto here, and then the door can slide in here. I'm going to cut this to size and put it in place while I put the other bit on. We've cut that out now. This ended up being 310mm by 410mm. The idea being it goes in there like that, and then the other side should fit on here. Whoops, don't do that again. We'll fit on here something like that with that piece there.
Hello, it's Editing Cameron here. I am showing you this out of context because this is me putting on the first strip, and I'm showing it out of context as I originally put it on the wrong way round. So I had the gap where the door slides in on the outside, so it was the wrong way round. So I'm just showing you this now though to show you how I put it on. So I put the end screws in through the both layers, the second gap layer as well, just to hold it in place. I just through. Then I attached it to the door with the other screws, then wound those end screws back and put them back in again, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
Alright, that side is on the wrong way around. So that's exactly how you do it, except I've put this whole thing should be flipped. Okay, just to get to lift. Okay, so it goes up and down like that. So I need to glue a handle on it. I'm just going to drill a hole through here where I can put a rod through that will hold it open like that. And then when I put it down, I can put the rod back through there again and it will hold it down. Well, that's the idea. I glued this little bit, it was a little bit of that L-shaped timber we had left over. I just glued it on. It's not in the centre, as you can see, but it doesn't matter. That sits on the other side. I'll show you that in a minute. But now we need to make a hole through here, which I can put the dowel through, which will hold the door open, and then go back on top and keep the door shut again. So just checking the height. So when the door's down, so this can't be any lower than that, or we won't be able to use it to shut it. So say about there. Top and bottom mark. So wherever I drill, it's got to be between there somewhere, in the middle of that. And I've got a drill bit just here, so if we put it a little bit higher, just to be sure, try and keep this drill straight and level. So what I want to do now is just make a guide hole through both sides. So that's through one side, making sure that we're straight and level. Right, so now we've got a guide hole. I'm going to use, this is called a step drill bit. Let me just turn this so I can see the screen. It's called a step drill bit, all different sizes, because I need the hole needs to be, I think it's 16 millimeters. My dowel is. Let me check. 15.8, so 16 mils, and this has got one that's about 16 mils. Okay, 16.4, and that is 1, 2, 3, fourth one from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that should be it. Let's check the size. Yeah, that looks right. There's some cardboard in the way at the moment, but we'll get rid of that later. You want to come in? You coming in? In you go. So, let's just expand that out now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just double check that that's good. I have got cardboard in the way, but should we just force it through? Yeah, just force it through. Okay. Here's our door. There's our handle on it. Here's that little peg we have, so if we pull the peg out, the door can just slide down. Put the peg back in, and you can't open the door from the outside. So putting a shroud on to stop the cold air coming in here from the top on this side. That side we don't need it because the wall is there, and the doggy door doesn't have any free fly wire on this side. So I've cut that, so that'll fit in there, like that. Still leaves room for the door to slide through. I'm putting a piece of wood just here to cover that. I've drilled the holes and countersunk them already, so now I need to just put this in place. So now we've got a beam going across there. We drill a couple little holes in here, put those screws in. It's going to test this as it slides down with that in there. It does. Okay, that's good. Probably don't have to use glue on this, so I'm only going to use a small amount, but I just feel better about it with glue on it. put it in place. It should basically be pretty much in the right spot. I'm a silly duffer, aren't I? I haven't left room for the handle. Pre-drilled the holes and the bit that's got to go on the side here. Okay, Doggy, time to get out of the way. Also using put a little bit of glue on the side of this as well. There's our side shroud done, and that goes basically all the way down to the door jamb, and then we'll have the other one going across here, which is I've got that in the shed. I actually need to put a couple of clamps on it while the glue's drying on it. And when that's dry, we'll cut the back out of it so the handle can go through, and we'll put that on top, and then essentially we're done other than paint. I can't remember at this stage what I have and haven't been videoing, but anyway. The sliding door, I think last time you may recall, was brakes I want to put on here, but mainly to stop the cold air coming down. I've now cut this out to allow for the handle, but so to avoid cutting into the actual brace and everything, which would have been a bit much, I've actually cut the handle down, so I cut that much off the handle, just cut it off. So I do want to block it, so I've got another piece of pine here which I just cut, and you can see it's a bit closer to the sides and it'll fill the gap in a little bit. Got to be careful where I glue it on though. But what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to glue it on to the door here with super glue, just because it'll dry fast and I can do it in place. So I'll do that after we put this on. Wait, the brace is on. So there you go, we'll whack this in now. It's a little bit hard to get fitting over the windowsill and everything, but anyway, there we go. Oh, there's our plug, we'll pull that back. Let this go down. Alright, there we are. So we can still use the handle like that. Okay, so the handle still works okay. Now we just want to glue this bit in. I'll have a look at the little bit. YouTube super glue, some people call it CA glue. Putting a fair bit on there because this surface isn't completely smooth that it's gluing onto, even though this pine is quite smooth. And I've got some accelerant here as well, so I can do from here. While that's in place, I'm going to spray it with some accelerant. And that should dry it a little more quickly in place there. That looks pretty good. So you can buy accelerant that makes your super glue dry straight away. What you can do is spray it on the surface you're gluing it to. So put the glue on the one bit, spray the surface you're gluing to and whack it on. If I was doing that like it was sitting up here and I was doing it, that's what I would have done. But because it was in there, I was scared that I would basically touch it onto what I was gluing before it was in place, and because this stuff makes it glue dry straight away, it was bang, and I wouldn't be able to move it, and it'd be on an angle or whatever. So that's why I did it the way we did it. Anyway, there it is. That matches up with our little slot here, and I'll show you that from on top in a sec. The only thing I noticed is this door doesn't always come down straight, and it is kind of clipping it on the way down. Kind of have to, there's a bit of wiggle room, so what I might do is sand these corners off. Once I'm sure the glue is fully dried, I'll sand these corners down a little bit so it kind of self-rights itself on the way down. Now we're looking down on the door, and so here's the little handle we've got. We push it up and that's there, and we can just push the door up the rest of the way, and then we of course push our little rod through here from the inside, and that stops it coming down. And of course at night time I can now push this in Yep. Which now stops the door from being opened. Right, so by the handle. And because we now have this dust cover here, which is also a bit of a security cover, somebody can't reach through the doggy door and pull the bolt out. So you can't, because a small person could crawl through that. I think I could actually even crawl through this hole. So yeah, they can't pull this out, so they won't be able to open it. I'll show you what I mean from the other side of the fly wire. So for right now, we'll just close this and we'll go and have a look at it from outside. I'm really not sure what you're going to be able to see here. You might be able to see that through there, that's the bolt that goes through, or the wooden peg that goes through. Here's part of our shroud here. I would have preferred to be a little bit further in, so a little bit of cold air will get in there, but other than that, we've pretty much got a seal now. If we open the doggy door, which is not very clean, but we can see here, there's our door. And if we look up, like if we wanted to reach up, this is what I'm talking about, I guess the security part of it. If we look up there, if I try and reach up here and get to the peg, there's just no way through. Here's our heat shield, which is also our security shield. They can't get up anywhere to reach the peg. So really they're just faced with this and it doesn't open. So it's kind of secure, you know, as secure as, you know, a crummy door can be. But yeah, so we've got a bit of security. We've got our shielding here, stopping the cold air coming down and getting in when the doggy door's open. And yeah, now all I need to do is for my dog, because this is a bit high and it's only a small dog, as you've seen her, she has to jump to get through. So what I'm going to do is put a block of wood here with a little ramp on it so she can get up onto the same height and just walk through instead of having to make a leap of faith. But anyway, I'm sure you know how to make a block of wood, so I won't show you that. Thank you for watching the cheapskate method of solving the double doggy door dilemma, and hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up, it does help out the channel. And if you want to see more things like this, consider subscribing to Cheapskate.